Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my guest, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. Today we're still covering round two of the NBA playoffs. We're also covering Dallas Cowboys making a trade, pretty big trade, and then MLB standings recap. But to start us off, heading into the New York series, New York Boston. Obviously, New York took game one, and overtime they came back down 20 to take it against Boston. And what did they do in game two? It was like deja vu all over again. Down 20 in the third quarter. They came back and won it in the fourth. And I mean, it was literally deja vu. Like I said, Celtics got it up 20 with like 3 minutes 55 seconds left in the third. Um, Knicks go on a little run, bring it within 15, and then the Celtics start chucking up threes left and right, missing every single one, or most at least. And the Knicks just come back. They come back. They take the lead and win the game. I mean, watching that live, I just couldn't believe it, man. I was like, you know what? Celtics dominated again. And then I continued to watch it, and I slowly watched the Knicks come back, and I just couldn't believe it.
They give a little bit of a chance to the Knicks and they take it. It's just there's no quit in these Knicks right now, and yeah, they're riding high right now, going back to New York with a 2-0 lead. And yeah, I'm looking at that. It looks like the Celtics just decided. I think everybody's forgetting about the 2 point shot, and everybody's just chucking up threes. They were 10 of 40. It looks like from 3 point, the Celtics. And then I'm also looking at the Knicks. This is not it's not much better. It's 9 of 31. Uh, I mean, that's a lot of shots there to be chucking up. But it looks like there was a lot of contributions from the Knicks. Carl Anthony Towns with 21, Josh Hart with 23. Brunson's doing his usual. Mikal Bridges all around. It looks like their starters were making an impact there and not going away. You could go ahead and they'll be down by 20, but they have a lot of fight in them. And yeah, they took another one from the Celtics. So all the pressure on Jason Tatum and the Celtics.
Yeah, you brought up, what happened to the 2 point shot. I think I saw an article posted a lot of social media saying what happened to the, like you said, the mid range shot. And it's still around. You've seen guys, KD, what he's playing. Obviously, he can knock down threes, but his mid range shot is what he's known for. Anthony Edwards, last year during the playoffs, it looked like he dominated with his mid range shot. So far, he hasn't. He's been, obviously he led the league in threes. Um, but yeah, it looks like many people just don't know to shoot, don't know how to, or don't know. I mean, Jalen Brunson's pretty good at hitting a good mid range. But there's only a certain amount of guys. Otherwise, when I think of mid-range shots, I think of Sean Livingston from the Warriors.
Yeah,
The dude only shot
back
mid-ranges, and
down.
he
He'll
was
back he'll
and it was
back you
money
down.
off the bench. Off the
Turnaround
bench, he gave you
shot.
10 plus points. He'd give you 10 plus points off the bench off that mid-range. And nowadays, like you said, every people just go to shooting threes,
Yeah.
and they just become too in love with shooting the threes. I mean, like you said, they shot 10 for 40. Um, a big reason for this Knicks team coming back was Mikal Bridges was scoreless through three quarters. And then in the fourth, he scored 14 to lead the comeback. He even made a defensive stop at the end to win the game. But yeah, like you said, for the Celtics, I mean, Al Horford 4 points, Jason Tatum 13 points. I mean,
That
just
guy's
nothing
struggling. He's
that
struggling.
he really is. I mean,
5 of 19. Yeah, 1 of 5 from three. This, I mean, big game for him, especially him. Because there's so much attention that goes to him and face of the NBA and the champion. There's a lot of pressure on him too from Boston Celtics and all the history that they have, and him adding to his legacy to the NBA. And uh, yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. This is a tall task, but hey, just like we saw with the other games, you win one game, and that's just how you should take it, one game at a time. They get this next one, try to steal back home court advantage, and they just gotta shoot some 2 pointers, enough threes. You guys already set what did they set the record the last game? I think for
yeah, they said yeah, most
something
missed
like
threes.
that,
I
right?
mean, yeah, Derek White ended up with 20 points, but he wasn't knocking down threes. Peyton Pritchard wasn't knocking down threes. Like I said, Jason Tatum obviously wasn't knocking down threes, and they've dominated these games. They've not dominated like most of these games, the whole first half, and then most of the third quarter. They dominate these games, and then it's like they just forget how to play basketball for the last 14 minutes of the game, and
Yeah.
they just give the Knicks a lot of momentum. The Knicks just ride it, and I thought after the comeback win round two, they'd be riding that momentum, or after the comeback win in game one, they'd be riding the momentum into game two. But then I was like, it's a 20-point game. But then, like I said, the same thing happened. They came back, so hopefully, Knicks still riding that momentum in game three. And like I said, possible in my Instagram, I said possible sweep incoming. I mean, it could happen if if the Celtics keep blowing these games, these winnable games, they should easily be up 2-0 in the series right now. But
Right.
they're down 0-2, and like you said, the series is going back to Madison Square Garden. Big place for a big game. I mean, you know, people were questioning Steve Kerr and why Jason Tatum wasn't playing in the Olympics.
Yeah,
Now I've seen people starting to thank him for not playing Jason Tatum
we
because it looks like
understand you now, Kerr.
yeah, because now it looks like he can't play in these big games, and it's head scratching because he had such a good year this year. Obviously, last year they won the chip. Obviously, he didn't win Finals MVP though. Jaylen Brown did, and you think that put a little bit on his shoulders. Obviously, they did win the ring, but like I said, he didn't win the Finals MVP. You'd think that would pit, especially with him being the face of the franchise. You would think that put a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, but obviously it hadn't so far. Like I said, he hasn't really showed up these past two games, and they could look to be going home early this year.
Yeah, and I think that's why they're saying, you hear all the rumblings already. This next game for Tatum is huge. He has to show up. He can't shy away from this. He's going to have to do everything in his power to get this win and make Celtics fan feel a little bit better. And they're going to be in Madison Square Garden, and that's not an easy place to play. Spike Lee will be there. All the celebrities will be there, and it's going to be loud.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden always has celebrities courtside. Yeah, like you said, it's gonna be a very big game, and the game three is gonna determine this series. If the Celtics can win, they give themselves a chance. If they lose, the series is over. But moving on to game two, uh, Nuggets and Thunder. Obviously Denver came back in game one and took it in the fourth quarter in the final seconds. Game two, much different story. OKC dominated from start to finish. When I say dominated, I really mean they dominated. They put up 87 points in the first half. I mean, they scored 45 points in the first quarter, 42 points in the second quarter. I mean, this game was over at halftime. They ended up winning the
Yeah,
game 149-106. Jokic fouled out in the third quarter. I mean, it was that type of game for the
yeah,
Denver Nuggets.
149. Wow, 149. That is huge. It was so lopsided. Yeah, it was over quick, and it's still. I mean, you see a beat down in some of these games, some of these playoff series, and then they bounce back. The team that got their butt kicked ends up bouncing back, and this one's far from over. I think, even though after that huge loss, I just think that this could be a 6-7 game series, and they're going to battle it out. They're playing right now as we speak, and I think it's a lot closer than this game shows.
Yeah, right now it's 42 or 49-42. Thunder are up 7. But yeah, game 2 was just a complete blowout. I mean, like I said, it was pretty physical. It was a pretty physical game. I know Jokic, like I said, Jokic fouled out because he was being too physical. But in 25 minutes, 8 points from Michael Porter, 10 points from Aaron Gordon. I mean, they just got dominated. I mean, Jokic, I was watching Jokic. I'm like, he's getting guarded by Chet Holmgren. Chet's not a big guy, and I'm thinking, Jokic, why aren't you backing him down? You probably weigh at least 50 more pounds than him. You should easily be
Yeah,
getting down in the paint and scoring over Chet. I mean, but I guess when you're down so much so early, I mean, you just got to resort to trying to hit threes. But yeah, I definitely think a
yeah.
comeback
There's
or
desperation, right?
yeah, I definitely think a response is going to come up from Denver. Obviously, they played a lot of games within the short time period because they had to go to 7 games with the Clippers. But I think they can win this series. It's just a matter of you know are there other guys going to contribute, and are they going to be able to slow down Shea Gilgeous-Alexander? Because if not, then the Thunder will easily take this series. Because like I said, they
Yeah,
dominated.
he controlled everything.
Yeah.
He
Because
controlled
like you said, you
that
put up
game, and he
87
was
points and a half. I mean, I know it's not likely to happen a whole bunch, but it could definitely something like 60-point halves, 60, 70-point halves could definitely keep happening. So the Nuggets got to figure it out defensively and try to slow down Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and help Jokic offensively. But yeah, moving on. It was a game 2, Warriors Timberwolves. Obviously, Steph Curry out. At first, you said he was out to at least game 5. Now they're saying game 6. But they did win game 1. Obviously, Curry did play 13 minutes in that game. Now they need to win another game to at least have a chance for Curry to come back this series. If not, they're gonna have to try to win the whole series without him. And this game was just it looked like an experiment for the Warriors. They got dominated in the first quarter, 29-15. They never really gave him the chance to come back. Steve Kerr was trying out different lineups, different people. One bright side though was Trace Jackson Davis and Jonathan Kuminga
yeah.
played well. They
And
looked
that's good. That's a welcome sighting because if Curry's going to be out as long as the fifth game, the sixth game, they need somebody to step up. And I keep saying, "Come on, Kaminga, we know you have it in you. We know you're athletic. You can get to the basket. You can beat the guys off the dribble. You're quick. That's what we're looking for. Keep it up. You're needed right now. You didn't play in the other series or down the stretch in the regular season, but now's the time more than anything for you to that we need to count on some buckets from you. And turnovers was huge in that
yeah.
game. I mean, it led to I thought it was like 20 points. It led to their turnovers is just bad. They turn the ball over, and then Minnesota, takes it down the court and shoots a three, and next thing you know, the Warriors actually cut it to win within 7, and then in the blink of an eye, the Timberwolves off of turnovers end up hitting like 5-6 points in a row, and it's like timeout Warriors. It's just that, and from there, I don't think they really got back into it, and they extended their lead and kept it.
Yeah, and like you said, turnovers are a big thing for the Warriors. But I just think timely turnovers. Like you said, they did cut it within
I
7. They made a run in the third quarter. And a big timely travel by Jimmy Butler, for me, felt like killed all the momentum. He traveled when they had possession down 7. And then after that, the T-Wolves just went on an 11-0 run. And Kerr made a bunch of substitutions, and the game was over. But I think for the Warriors, like I said, it was just about them finding rotations and guys who to play. Like I said, Jonathan Kuminga had 18 points, shot the ball well. Trace Jackson Davis was playing pretty good. And they're going to need to figure it out. Because, like I said, they need to at least win one game for a chance at Curry to come back. But obviously, Curry's only going to come back if he's fully healthy. And, Jimmy said obviously he's capable of, scoring 30 to 40 points when it's needed. But he said he likes to get, his teammates comfortable. But for me, I mean, Jimmy needs to step up. I obviously still think his injury from round 1 is
Yeah,
lingering him, which is forcing him not to, be the player that he is. But if he can't be scoring, the Warriors need to look to give Buddy Hield some more shots. Buddy Hield still played great the other night, despite them losing by 24. But they need to
yeah,
give him some open looks. Like Jaden Daniels was guarding Curry game 1, which led Buddy to get a bunch of shots. Now Jaden Daniels is guarding Buddy Hield, and it's making his life tougher because Buddy is not a shot creator. He's a guy who just if you could get him open, he'll knock down a shot, and so it's going to be tough for that Warriors team.
yeah. Now's the time. They have two at the Chase Center coming up. Home court advantage there, and yeah, Jimmy Butler needs to revert back to his aggressiveness, getting to the line, getting to the free throw line, making the free throws. I know the free throws was another thing. Kaminga missed a bunch of free throws. We were
Yeah,
trying to mount that comeback. Butler had a couple that he missed there. But yeah, it's just like we can't afford to miss those kind of shots, easy buckets there. We need every single point, and still, okay, I know the Timberwolves, obviously the second round, they're a good team. They got Ann Edwards. This is a different feel, I think, than the Rockets series. It's like I don't don't feel overwhelmed by the Timberwolves. Like they're going to just crush us. And even though that game, but that was minus Curry. Um,
Yeah. Obviously,
you
their
know,
defense isn't as great as that Rockets
yeah,
defense
exactly.
was.
That's what I mean. And then them shooting too. The first game they were ice cold, right? And Edwards had 1 point in the half. And then even this last game too. I mean, they allowed us to get to within 7. They weren't shooting as well as I thought. And so there's a chance there for Kerr to find a lineup that's going to just counterattack them and squeak out a win or something like that, or we'll see how it goes. I know he's been trying everybody. I think everybody on the bench, everybody on the team got
Yeah,
the
it's a
right.
thing that it was like the first time in history 14 players played in the first half of a playoff game.
Jeez.
And it was like only a Steve Kerr thing would happen. But yeah, they just need they left a lot of guys wide open for three. And obviously when the guys left wide open for three, they're going to knock down shots. That's what happened yesterday. A lot of guys, Nas Reed was open, Dante DiVincenzo was wide open. And they were just knocking down shots. And then, but defensively for me, what it looked like the Warriors zone was giving the
Yeah,
Timberwolves problems. The
yeah.
problem is, I don't know if they're just trying to save it, but it looked like they kept switching out of it, going back to man. But if I'm Steve Kerr, I think I got to keep staying in that zone until they figure it out. Just like what the Rockets did. The Rockets played that zone, and it gave the Warriors problems for games, 5 and 6.
Mhm.
Gave the Rockets a chance to win Game 7. Obviously, Kerr did adjust to it, and they ended up winning in 7 games. But yeah, if I'm Kerr, defensively, you guys out there on the court need to communicate better. Can't be leaving guys wide open, staying in that zone because it's causing them problems. And then offensively, it's just running the offense quicker. I mean, guys are taking too long to get to the right positions and trying to run a play. But sometimes other guys need to make something for themselves. I mean, Pajemski's ice cold the past 3 games. Same with Moses Moody.
Moody's been cold, ice cold
Moody hasn't scored a
since the
point since
Rockets
he hasn't
game
scored a
7.
point since Game 6 actually of the Rockets. Pajemski hasn't been scoring as much, and they need those guys to step up. Like I said, Kuminga stepped up yesterday, 14 points. Trace Jackson Davis stepped up. He had 15 points. Buddy
Yeah,
Hield still at 15. Jimmy still at 17. But, Pajemski ended up with 11. But Moses Moody 3. And you just need more scoring out of certain guys. Like Gary Payton needs to be a threat more offensively. But like you said, this Timberwolves team doesn't scare me as much as the Rockets did. Their defense isn't as great. They do got great defensive players, but their defensive scheme isn't as scary as the Rockets were. Offensively, obviously, they're still a threat. But Anthony Edwards did re-injure his left ankle yesterday. I know how you're saying they're calling him Iron Man because he's so durable, and he is, but it's also probably what they're giving him in the locker room. They're probably giving him a horse tranquilizer to, calm down
yeah.
that injury. Because he was limp. He had two people carrying it, like helping him walk all the way to the locker room, and then he was
Yeah,
back out there in the third quarter,
yeah.
putting up points. But obviously that his ankle is lingering on him, and just got to figure out certain things. Like I said, don't leave guys wide open for three because they're gonna knock down shots, and just keep crashing the boards and keep playing aggressive because the physicality is not as much as it was against Houston. So
Yeah.
the Warriors just got to
Yes. So
figure it out.
so so far, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen anything that kind of has me worried. Like I'm more worried about Curry coming back sooner rather than later because if it is all the way to the 6th game, then yeah, we gotta have to prolong this series and get a W in there somewhere. Otherwise, that if they're going to continue to play that offense the way they've been doing it, taking up the whole 24 seconds and having a shot clock violation, and Draymond's the three. After all that, Draymond's the guy shooting the three. It's like I know he
Yeah,
makes them, but not. That's probably not your first
option.
option. That's probably hey Jimmy. Jimmy was throwing them up at the but Moody had several that he was throwing up at
Yeah,
the
Moody had
buzzer.
like back to back where
Yeah,
he
back
chucked
to
them up
back.
at the shot clock, and it's just like you guys got to work faster.
Yeah,
But it's also just like shooting in rhythm. Moody, I felt like on his 2 shots, he could have easily caught that and shot it. And I'd rather him shoot it in rhythm, get it
yeah,
missed or get it blocked than him having to chuck
dribble.
it up.
Yeah, or
And
him even
so
trying to create the space off of a dribble.
yeah,
I mean, I know everybody could everybody could do that, but when you got Jaden McDaniels on you or someone like that, then it's a little bit more more difficult. And next thing you know, you have an air ball going up.
Yeah, but so yeah, the Warriors got to figure it out offensively and just get things right defensively. But game three is tomorrow. It's gonna be a big game. Series is back in San Fran. Like I said, if they could get it, force a game six. Obviously, they got 2 days off between games 5 and 6. It'll give Curry some extra rest. See if he could get right. But we'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, Warriors need to win another game, or possibly have to win this whole series without Curry. And it's gonna be tough, but I believe the team is capable of doing it. They just need guys to step up, and they need Jimmy to lead them. Obviously, Curry's the leader of the team, but when he's out, they're gonna need Jimmy to lead the team. They're gonna need him. They're gonna need Robert and Alfred to lead the team to a couple victories.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they need those veteran guys to lean on. Jimmy Butler, this is why they got him. Buddy Hield, Draymond Green, of course. Just control your emotions, control everything. Even though we all have opinions on his technical there, I mean, he does have a very long track record since about 2012, 2013. He's accumulated this whole record that now refs see them, and any little time that he flails his
Yeah,
arms up in the air and
it's gonna be a
makes
flagrant foul,
contact, they're going
and
to review it.
he's got to watch it because he's 2 technicals away from suspension.
Yeah.
He's 2 flagrant points away, which is like saying like if you got a flagrant 2, he gets a suspension. So he's just got to keep his emotions in account. I remember at halftime, I remember Shaq saying, what Draymond is doing isn't, obviously he doesn't know his intent, but it doesn't look purposeful because like even Shaq said, when guys were up on me and they're like smacking my arms, I'm gonna try to get the foul and I'm gonna try to give a little something back. And so like you said, his track record is so deep that the refs see it and they're instantly gonna look at it. And not this the question isn't is it gonna be a flagrant or not? The question is what type of flagrant are they gonna give him?
What type? Yeah. I
So
mean, to go review it, even they were
yeah,
even quick to say, "Oh, we're going to review the foul for anything further, a flagrant or a technical." And it's like, hey, man, every one of these players, did they not see the Alfred Sagoon that last series? I mean, he's wailing his arms all over the place. Once you feel the contact, like Draymond felt the contact from Nas Reed, then he shoots the ball up, hoping he gets that, 2 free throws out of it. But he connects with the face, and whether it's intentional or not. I mean, he's not gonna say, "Yeah, no, I meant to punch him in the face." He's trying to draw the guy. I think that's why he's most upset too. He's like, I felt contact. I got fouled. I shot it up like everybody else in the NBA does. And that's why now they're making a big thing out. They're out for him, and there's an agenda for him to be, to get these flagrants and get suspended. And that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, he needs to control his emotions as best as he can because he's just as valuable as Curry. He's not there defensively to be that general. You could almost like forget if they don't have Draymond and Curry. It's hate to see what life would be for Warrior fans if both of them are gone. Be a quick series.
It'd be tough because Draymond does all the dirty work. He brings his physicality. But another thing I'm not disliking. Obviously, the free throw. I'm blanking on the free throws aren't off by much. Warriors shot 25, Wolves shot 20. But I mean, Anthony Edwards, they're not calling it every time, but sometimes he'll get marginal contact, and he'll yell at the top of his lungs, "Hey!" And they'll blow the whistle for him. I'm like, dude, are you gonna blow the whistle? And I even watched, dude. Curry even challenged it. Jackson Davis jumped, and yes, he did go horizontally on his jump, but he went straight up vertically and gave the slightest contact from his chest. Ant made the layup, but they called a foul on it, and it's like you're giving him the foul because he's screaming at the top of his lungs. And I'm like, and Ant's one of those guys where the next face of the league is still to be determined. After that Lakers series, besides Game 5, I thought he could be that guy.
Yeah.
But after these first 2 games, I mean, I don't know if it's just because he's playing my Warriors, but I just haven't seen.
That could be
I
it.
haven't. Yeah, but I haven't seen just that face of the league type player.
Yeah.
He's not. He hasn't put up 30 yet this series. I'm hoping he honestly doesn't. Just so
now he is.
win.
Thanks. Now you just jinx it. Now he's gonna go for 30.
But I mean, Curry, obviously, the guy doesn't complain much. You'll you very rarely see Curry get mad when he's fouled, but just nowadays, it seems like all these star players, every time they get the slightest of contact, they throw their
Yeah,
arms up, they're yelling, and they're just getting these weak foul
I was
calls.
gonna say Brunson. If you watch been watching the Knicks. You know, Brunson. Every
Yeah,
time he's dribbling the ball, it's like he got in a car crash or something. His head gets whiplashed backwards, and he see his dreads or braids or whatever you want to call them. They're snapping back. I'm just like, hey man, you really got touched. So that's what I mean by once you feel that contact, you're trying to sell this foul to
yeah.
the refs. You know, and I,
And the
even
refs are
though,
falling for it. They
yeah,
said
oh,
this
they
year
fall for it.
they're gonna implement the flopping. Get text
Yeah.
for flopping. I've only seen them call it maybe like twice all year.
It's yeah, I don't see how they do that. That's such a tough thing to do. I mean, unless it's completely obvious, because which I mean, I did see them a couple times, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna play that out, or even like, especially now in these series. I mean, and I also want to tell, hey, did you guys not see? Are you not you must not beat the refs for the last series that the Warriors just played, where anything went.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
grabbing,
yeah.
the
The
pull
grabbing,
downs, the
the shove.
clotheslines,
Yeah,
the elbows to the face. Yeah, these are the different refs, because
yeah.
all that was fair game in the last series, and nobody said anything. It went seven.
After that series, the league should have got all the refs together and say, "Hey, this is the standard. This is the
Yeah,
playoffs. It's got to
it's
be
a
physical." I
playoff
mean,
standard.
like you said, the head back from Brunson, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander does it, and to me, it's like you're getting hit on your arms. What's causing your head to fly back? It's like if I'm a ref, I'm like, this is some BS. You're floppy. Stop throwing your head back when you're getting contact in your arms.
Yeah,
But
it's just like we say. It's just they're trying to sell the contact is worse than what it was, and that he's getting beat up pretty bad, and that's not the
yeah,
case. So play on, keep playing.
yeah, it's
Draymond,
just tough to see because it's
control
just not bad.
yourself.
It's just tough to see those guys just trying to always get the foul calls because it's not real basketball.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's
They're
just
trying to
not.
play.
You don't want to see a guy going up shooting free throws all game. You want to see him nailing like Shea could hit it. Shea could hit a mid range. I want to see him shooting mid ranges and getting to the rack and getting a nice layup. I don't want to
Yeah,
see him shooting 10 free throws every game. But
right.
that's a different story to tell. We're gonna move on to Cavs Pacers so we can stop talking about the refs. But
Yeah, no,
yeah, Cavs look like they were gonna win Game 2 of this series, and like I said, I don't think I know we talked about this last episode, but yeah, just the weirdest basketball I've seen in the last minute by a team. Obviously, Pacers came back and won that game, took a 2-0 lead this series, but the Cavs got healthy and they showed it. They won 126-104. Evan Mobley played, DeAndre Hunter played, and Darius Garland even played. And
mhm.
another big game for Donovan Mitchell, 43 points. They win a huge game 3 in Indiana, which is huge because, like I said, like you said yourself in the last episode, falling down 0-2 is a big hole to come back. And now they have a chance to regain that home court advantage if they win game 4.
Yeah. The Cavaliers, they were all on point today. Everybody contributed. All the starters. Max Strus had 20. Mitchell monster game 43. Um, yeah, like you said, Jared Allen 19, and Mobley 18. Yeah, it was an all around beat down to the Pacers, and that was what needed. Try to gain back the home court, and yeah, they're going to have to do it. They did it to them on their court, so why can't they do it in Indiana? And then we just had an off night from Halliburton. He had 4 points. He was a minus 20 for what I'm seeing here. Um, just a bad game. And once your main guy, your star,
Yeah.
is not having a good game, that's just going to show for the rest of the game. Everybody else is going to follow suit pretty much.
Yeah, like you said, bad game for Halliburton, only had 4 points, but not much contribution from Aaron. He spent who only had 7, and even Andrew Nemhard who had 10. But like you said, Tyrese Halliburton was voted by his peers most overrated, and this is kind of why. Obviously he played great games 1 and 2 is the reason they won game 2, but then you can't come game 3 in your home court and put up 4 points. I mean, that's why people call him overrated. But hopefully he responds game 4 because they're gonna need a game. If they could get a game 4 win, that really helps their chances of winning their series. But if they can't win game 4 and this series gets tied heading back to Cleveland, I don't like Indy's chances of winning the series. But they're gonna have to step it up Tyrese Halliburton's got to play like he did in games 1 and 2, and they're just gonna
Yeah,
have to slow down Donovan Mitchell.
he's going to have to play. Halliburton's going to have to play All-Star level for the remainder of this series. Cavaliers showed why they won 64 games today. Like I said, everyone was hands-on today. It's must win pretty much for them, because if they go down, 3-0, then the percentages of that, if you're winning the series by 3-0, 3-1, whatever it may be, you're in the 90% of winning that series. So yeah, good win for the Cavs. Good to see them come out with some fight, even though the last game they blew that big
Yeah,
lead they had towards the end. So we'll see moving forward. But yeah, I mean, it's just you're getting to the good games, coming up. It's like there's a good game and then there's a blowout. Good game,
yeah,
blowout. You know?
yeah. But yeah, the Pacers are gonna have to force someone else to beat them other than Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, Darius Garland is coming off a toe injury. He only played 25 minutes at 10 points. But if he's gonna be playing, that toe is probably still bothering him. You're gonna have to force him to beat you. DeAndre Hunter was dealing, I believe, with a shoulder injury. Make him beat you when he comes off from the bench, and even Evan Mobley dealing with the injury. Make those guys who aren't fully healthy, make them beat you, because you can't have Donovan Mitchell scoring 40 plus every night, because that's the real reason why they're winning these games. If you could hold them to 25 or less, I mean, that's gonna be huge for you to win this game. But they can't. I mean, the whole starting lineup for Cleveland had double digits, and for the
Yeah,
Pacers, just wasn't the same story. I mean, Benedict Mathurin off the bench at 23, he's probably the reason why they were in this game. But I mean, it was tied at the end of the first, and then the Pacers only put up 13 points in the second quarter, and the Cavs put up 34. And then that was just the main difference of the game right there, was that second quarter, and the Pacers just couldn't come back. But
yeah. That's all she wrote, and everybody's on to the next games.
yep. But that's all for right now. Thunder up 56-51 against the Nuggets. It is currently halftime. Tomorrow we have Knicks Celtics in New York. We got Warriors Timberwolves in San Francisco. We're gonna have to wait and see what that is, but we're gonna move on to some NFL news. NFL news has been quiet recently. Obviously, this week, rookies reported to training camp, or they reported rookie minicamp. So I've been seeing all the new rookies in the new threads. I saw a thing today saying Shadur Sanders looked sharper than Dylan Gabriel did for the Browns minicamp, but it's on day one. But the other day, it was actually like really early in the morning. Yeah, this got published at May 7th at 6:58 a.m. I'm pretty sure the trade happened even sooner. But the Steelers traded wide receiver George Pickens to the Cowboys. Dallas receives Pickens and this 2027 sixth round pick, and Pittsburgh gets a 2026 third round pick and a 2027 fifth round pick. And to me, big trade for the Cowboys. People were questioning Jerry Jones during the draft when he didn't draft a wide receiver to help Dak Prescott, to help, CeeDee Lamb. Now they go out and get a great wide receiver to pair CeeDee Lamb with. And for the Steelers, it looked like, back when they traded for DK, they were gonna have like a top wide receiver duo in the league. Now they don't. Now they don't even know who the quarterback will be. Starting
Yeah,
week one, they got their leading rusher last year. Najee Harris isn't with the team, and George Pickens is not with the team. It looks like that Steelers team's in a little bit of a rebuild offensively. They were just in the playoffs last year, and now they're missing some key guys from last season. And so, I mean, it's just we're gonna have to see what the Steelers come up with, because Mike Tomlin hasn't lost or hasn't had a losing season. So
yeah.
we're gonna have to
He's going to have
see.
to work some miracles if he makes the playoffs this year. Um, like you said, no quarterback yet. I don't know if they're still waiting for Aaron Rodgers, or what's the feedback for them not having any quarterback by now. Um, especially if training camp's going to start or rookies are reporting, and it'd be nice to have who's their quarterback again?
I know they had Mason Rudolph, and then they drafted Will Howard out of Ohio State. So
Okay, now
obviously Aaron
they
Rodgers is still out there on the market. Maybe Kirk
yeah
Cousins is available via trade, but yeah, right now it's not looking too good for that Steelers quarterback room. But for the Cowboys, I think the trade is great for them. Dak Prescott was at his best when he had a receiver he could throw jump balls to. Obviously, C can catch a jump ball, but
yeah
he's more of that route runner. He's more of a Devontae Adams type guy. He'll get open off his route running alone. And George Pickens is this guy who, for me, is gonna be like the Michael Gallup that the Cowboys used to have. The guy that they could pin him on a streak. He'll beat his man, catch it over top of him, and then even in the red zone, he'll go in the corner. You could throw it up to a one-on-one, and he'll come down and bring it down. So I think this is huge
Mm-hmm.
for Dak Prescott. Hopefully, obviously Dak hasn't been healthy in recent years. Obviously, when he is, they are a playoff team. But hopefully this will help Dak Prescott have a comeback year this year. Because obviously he dealt with the hamstring issue last season, and it's gonna make things a lot easier for CD Lamb for this upcoming season. I think it's huge for the offense. I think it's a big boost for their team. Obviously, there's the concerns about Pickens is his antics obviously on the field in the locker room. But I mean, it's just something you got to deal with because he is a great player. He was drafted in the second round for a reason a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he's got some. I'm looking at his numbers here. I mean, pretty good since 2022. 800 yards, 1100, 900. 12 touchdowns altogether. Yeah, it looks like another weapon for Dak Prescott, and it's good to see that they're getting him some other weapons there to choose from, and yeah, hopefully he's healthy and he comes back and they uh, make a run and just be competitive.
Yeah, because obviously they're in a tough. The Cowboys are in a
Yeah.
tough division. The NFC East. Eagles just won the Super Bowl. The Commanders were just in the East, not the Eastern Conference. They were just in the NFC
I was gonna say
Championship.
Redskins. I was gonna say
Yeah,
Redskins, but I'm old school. You see, the
the
beard is
Commanders.
white.
Yeah, the Commanders were just in the NFC Conference Championship. And then the Giants just had a great draft. They had
Yeah.
a couple top picks. They got a quarterback. They got probably the best edge. They got the best edge rusher of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So the Giants team could be dangerous. It's a tough division. So yeah, the Cowboys definitely got some work to do. Obviously for the Steelers, like I said, it's gonna be a little head scratching because they're also in a tough division with the Browns. Well, maybe not the Browns, but with the Bengals and the Ravens.
You caught
Obviously they've
yourself on that one.
yeah, obviously they've competed in prior years. Like so now they don't have Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. They don't have Najee Harris, and now they don't have George Pickens. So it's gonna be weird to see how that offense is gonna look starting week one.
So it looks rebuild. Sounds like they're rebuilding or something's going on. But as long as Tomlin's been there, they really are not doing any rebuilding. So, like I said, he'll coach of the year if he's making the playoffs with the team he currently has, unless they have something up their sleeves, maybe a veteran signing, like you said, or something. So, yep, I guess we'll just have to keep listening to see, what news comes out in the coming days.
Yeah, it's gonna see if any more trades are made, any more signings are gonna be made. I know Jalen Smith, the former I believe Giant and Cowboy, he's at Raiders minicamp trying to get a roster spot. Yeah, NFL news has been quiet lately ever since the draft and then free agency. But we just have to wait and see, see if any contract extensions happen. Obviously, uh, off season training camp will be coming up soon in June. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. The season's only a couple months out, and it's gonna be exciting. But
Let's get it
we're gonna
started.
move.
We're ready.
Yep. But we're gonna move on to some just a recap of the MLB standings. The Yankees this past week entered the AL East behind the Red Sox, but they did go on a little win streak and they're ahead of the Red Sox by half a game. No, by 1.5 games. Tigers continue to lead the AL Central, and Mariners lead the American League West. But the local team, well, soon not to be local, but the A's are second place in the AL West. They're at 20 wins. They're 20 and 18. And they're looking good. They're playing some good baseball. And now I'm pretty sure they're in a series against the Yankees, and that'll be a true test to see how good of a team they really are. But in the NL, the East, Mets lead over the Phillies and the Braves. Cubs are one of the best teams in baseball. They're leading the NL Central, and that NL West still hasn't cooled down. I mean, 4 out of the 5 teams have 20 wins already. Dodgers are 25-13. Padres are 23-13. Giants are 24-15, and the Diamondbacks are 20-18. So that division will come down to the end of the season. But a lot of baseball left to be played. And it's gonna be a long season. Excited to see who ends up in the playoffs and who ends up winning the whole thing. But that'll be all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok. I'd like to thank my guest, my uncle, for joining in today. And until next time, stay ready.